So there's three types of publishing agreements that you will come across. The first is, I mean, you're typically not going to encounter this type of deal nowadays unless you are, as I've noted these examples, you're somebody who's like just writing jingles for commercials and things like that, or you have a whole catalog or library that you're trying to like sell to a publisher. The first is full publishing, and what it means is that the publishing company is going to own 100% of the musical composition copyright, and then money that they receive will be split 50-50 between them and the songwriter. We don't want you to enter into this deal. It's not it's really not necessary nowadays. And if there's one thing I try to like impress upon my clients, it's don't give away your publishing. Like that's something that even if you have to give away your sound recording copyrights, try to hold on to your publishing. The second type of deal, and this is way more common, is a co-publishing deal where the songwriter will co-own the musical composition copyright with the publishing company. And then the money will be split 75% to the writer, 25% to the publishing company. And the last type of deal is an admin deal where the publishing company will have no ownership of the copyright and will receive a smaller cut of the pie. So the writer will keep 80% or more, and the publishing company will get 20% or less. So, note those numbers too. If you're going to enter into an admin deal, try to have the max royalty that you pay the publishing company be 20%. Common across all these deals is exclusivity. And that basically means that the publishing company will have the exclusive right to exploit the songs during the term. Sometimes you can enter into publishing agreements in different territories. So you might have a publishing company in the US and then one in various other territories in the world. And that's because, pay attention to this too, before you give away your publishing rights worldwide to a US publishing company, they might not have the presence and the expertise to service your songs worldwide. And you might want to hang on to those rights and then end up signing a publishing deal with like a foreign publisher who would be better suited to like pitch your songs and things like that abroad. Also in all of these deals, the publishing company will have full control of the songs during the term. They want to be the sole people who are able to, go out and get you deals and things like that. And all money will flow through them. Any money that comes in for the publishing will flow through the publishing company, and they will pay it out according to these lower pies. The one exception is writer's share of public performance income. So this is money that comes in through PROs. So ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, those sort of organizations. They will automatically split the money between publishers and songwriters. And in that instance, the songwriter will receive their share directly. So it won't have to go through the publisher, and it shouldn't have to ever. So make sure if for some reason they're trying to say it does, it shouldn't. Okay, let me make sure I'm on the right track with my notes. Yes. Okay. So one thing to note about the admin deal, because of course it looks promising. You're probably like, oh, look, I don't have to give away any ownership and I get 80% of the monies. In an admin deal, you almost never get an advance. So that's the downside of it. If what you're doing is trying to get an advance, you may be better suited to doing a co-publishing deal. But it just really depends on what your priorities are. If you want to give away 50% of your copyright in exchange for an advance, make sure it's a healthy advance. And then these are the main negotiating points for a publishing agreement. A lot of it's going to be pretty similar to a recording agreement. Like I didn't really note, accounting and audit, for example, but you should still have accounting and audit in a publishing agreement as well. Upfront money and percentage splits. As I said, I can't give you an exact amount. I mean, I gave you examples of percentage splits, but as far as an advance, that's really just going to vary wildly depending on your leverage. And then term and minimum delivery and release commitment. This is similar to what I talked about with recording agreements, where the term isn't so much a length of time as it is how many songs you've delivered. The difference with a publishing company is they typically have this minimum delivery and release commitment. So not only do you have to deliver a song to them or a certain amount of songs, they have to be released too. And some publishers will include extra requirements on top of that. So not only released, but released through a major record label, released on an album. So I would say with this one, you want to make sure to negotiate that down as much as possible, like negotiate those requirements down. Sure, it needs to be delivered and released. That makes sense why that's a requirement. But maybe let's not have it be a major label, maybe any label. And maybe it doesn't have to be on an album, maybe it can be on an EP. So just pay attention to that. The reason that's so important is because if you have too stringent of delivery and release commitments, you could be stuck in this deal forever. Because think about it, if the songs don't count towards that and the term is tied to the amount of songs, then you're never out of it. So really pay attention to what will constitute delivery and release. Another thing that I try to include in these deals, and you can try to include it in a recording agreement too, is okay, you typically have to recoup your advance before you get out of the deal. So say the term says 3 albums and you've delivered 3 albums, but you haven't recouped your advance. The deal will usually say that the agreement will just kind of continue until the date at which you've recouped your advance. If you can negotiate this in, you could add something that says that you can pay to get out of a deal. So if you still owe a bit on your advance, but you want to get out of the deal and maybe sign to a new record label or publisher, this would enable you to be able to pay to get out of it rather than just having to wait around to recoup. It's also important to pay attention with these terms that they don't have automatic renewals, because sometimes they will sneak in there that at the end of the term, it will automatically continue unless the artist or the songwriter proactively sends a termination notice. We'd prefer not to have that because that means you really have to be paying attention. And if you miss this small window, now you're in it for another year. So either try to get a provision in there that says that termination is automatic upon, delivering the certain, music, or at the very least, it should say, or I'm sorry, or at the very least, be diligent about calendaring these dates. So the second that you or your artist or writer enters into one of these agreements, look at those dates, put them in a calendar, even if it's like 5 years from now, because you don't want to miss that window of either getting out of the deal so you can sign to a new label, or maybe you've increased your leverage and now you can renegotiate a better deal with this same company. All right, so a few pitfalls to avoid. This is for publishing, but it also can relate to recording. And I did kind of, this third point I already covered, which is like minimum commitments that you can't meet, and it ends up being a never-ending deal. Also, giving up lifetime ownership of your publishing for not that much money or not that much benefit. So really think about what it might be worth to you in the long term. Is that really worth a $50,000 advance? Like, it might seem like it now, but if you can find ways to make that money elsewhere and hold on to your rights, that might be better. And then signing a publishing deal with a company that doesn't do all that much and coasts off your efforts or the label's efforts. So not only do you want to make sure it's a reputable publishing company, but you want to make sure that there are requirements within the deal that they actually like work for you and try to pitch your songs and things like that.